You've just celebrated getting through 6 or so years of stress, turmoil, pain, and your hard work finally paid off. But you were a student for all those years, and now suddenly you're expected to be a capable and competent doctor. You are literally responsible for people's lives. Medical internship can make you or totally break you. It's survival of the fittest. Internship is that period you use to bridge the gap between what you learned in med school, what you don't know, and what you need to know as a doctor. It's such a crucial period as it determines the outcome of your career in medicine. So, where do you do your internship? How do you decide that? What rotations do you start with? What do you need to prepare? What things do you need to know before you start your internship? What do you need to make sure you know before you finish your internship? How do you study during internship? How do you balance studying and working? Your mental health? Navigating all the things you didn't get taught in school but are expected to know? Join me on my YouTube channel as I talk about all things internship related in a series of videos this month. Subscribe to my channel and have your notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the videos. Hey my loves, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to the medical series that I've been doing on my channel. This is the 5th video now. In the first video we talked about how to decide where to do your internship. In the next video we talked about how to prepare for your internship, the things you need to know, the things you need to buy, the things you need to do. In the third video we talked about how to go through your internship, like how to start, which departments to start with, how to study during your internship, how to balance it all. And the fourth video I told you guys things you need to know before you finish your internship and things that you need to do during your internship, like how to, pleasing your heads of departments and all of that. In today's video I'm giving you guys my internship experience, not like a story time, but just basically in terms of everything that I've given you guys so far, how I did it, my experience, my version of it, like an example basically of everything that I've been saying for the past month, for the past several videos. So yeah, if you missed any of the videos that I've already done, do watch them. The links are in the description box below, on screen right now, as well as at the end of the video you will find them there. Otherwise, let's get right into it. So I studied in China. My program was 5+1 years, which meant that 5 years were to be strictly in school, of course with hospital classes, but the last year was solely meant for the hospital, an internship here basically. Lucky for me, my university allowed us to do this internship here outside the country. You could do it anywhere you wanted, your country of choice, or anywhere else, as long as they recognized that hospital that you're going to do and it met their criteria, which was like 500 beds minimum, so many things of that sort. And so yeah, I did that in Botswana. So this covers the where and the why to do it there aspect. So I knew for a fact that I didn't want to stay in China forever. I didn't want to practice medicine there. I just wanted to get my degree, maybe specialize there eventually as well. But I just essentially wanted the studies aspect and then work back in Africa. And I wasn't really specific to say I only want to work in South Africa, I only want to work in a certain place, but I was open towards the whole of Southern Africa. I was willing to work there. I just didn't want to be outside of Southern Africa. And so I chose something that was closest to home for me, and that was Botswana. I knew that I can speak the language, I'll be able to understand my patients perfectly well. I knew that I wouldn't struggle because the system is quite similar to the one back home. I knew that I'll be able to bridge the gap between what I knew from school, what I learned, and what I need to know when I eventually finish my studies and start working as a doctor. There in Botswana, I started in the internal medicine department, and then I went to surgery, and then I went to peds, and then I went to obs and gynae, and finished the other smaller things after that. So the reason I started with internal medicine was because obviously I'm fresh from China. I don't know anything. Literally, all I know is what I've learned in class. It was very hard. The first week, I remember on the very first day, I went to introduce myself and say, okay, we're coming. And I intended to come to work the next day, like on the Monday. And so on that very day we were thrown into it. We were told, you start now. It was a grand round. The head of department was like throwing questions. You student, you answer, and we didn't know anything. Like, it was so bad. And I was like, you see, you have your work cut out for you. I had never put in a cannula, I had never taken a blood sample. And on that day, the interns disappeared, and I had all this hard work that I needed to do, and I didn't know how to do it. I'm new in this country, new in this hospital. I had to do anything, it was bad, but I was willing to learn. I think the one thing, and I'm so thankful for that, is that the drive I had was just unmatched. I was so ready to just like throw myself in and learn. We learned how to do so many things, and I always align myself with the people that look like, okay, this one has a lot of learning, this one has a lot of knowledge. In Swahili we say shule, yani uyuntana shule, That's how I got the knowledge that I got by learning and aligning myself with people that are serious. I did calls even though I didn't have to. I always made sure like I'll do a call so that I learned something. Weekends as well, I did calls, not just during the week. I basically made it a point to say that even though this is not my actual intern year, I am going to be treated as an intern. What do I mean by that? I wanted to learn the same skills that the interns have, so that by the time I'm doing my actual internship next year, I'm brilliant at it, And so that's what I did. I was doing evacuations, assisting in Caesars, doing so much. In gynae, guys, I did so much, and I'm so glad because currently, as a doctor, I'm working in the gynecological field, sometimes doing a little bit of obstetrics here and there, but mostly on the gynecological side, fertility especially as well. And so all the skills that I got from that gynae rotation, because I was working with one doctor there that was really good, and he knew what he was doing, and he was so willing to teach. So I always did, every time that guy was on call, I was on call with him. Then I would come even before him and see patients, and then he just comes and just like oversees that I did everything properly. And that's how I learned, and that's how I gained the confidence to be able to do the job that I'm doing now, like almost 3-4 years later. So there's that. By the time I was done in Botswana, I had gained knowledge, I had gained confidence. I was doing procedures even better than some of the other interns. It was a really good experience. It was really great. And then that was a public hospital. There were a lot of patients. So obviously sometimes they were understaffed. It was just like, Natalie, she's capable, go and see the patients and deal with them, that. On the other side, flip the switch. When I came to Tanzania, I was in a private hospital because I decided I don't want to work in the public sector. I want to work in a private institution. So obviously, if I want to work in a private institution later, I need to have experience in the private sector. So Tanzania allows you to do an internship in private hospitals. They have a certain select group of hospitals that they let you do internship in because they meet their criteria and their standards and whatsoever. And so I chose one of those hospitals and I did my internship there. Naturally, because I'd done so well in my in Botswana in my internship there, when I went to Tanzania, people were like, foreigner, doesn't speak the language, studied in China. There was that just negative connotation and just negative assumptions around me. But from the very first day, I was impressing people. They were like, wow. I also started with internal medicine. That was the choice that I had to make, what do you want to start with, and then everything else was set for us. So I chose to start with internal medicine, and I didn't care what was going to follow. So the way it was set up, after internal medicine, they gave me emergency medicine, and then pediatrics, and then gynae and obs, and then surgery, which was perfectly fine with me because the rest of my internship was such a breeze. So I was doing procedures. I had no problem doing certain things, and everyone was just shocked. By the end of my first rotation, guys, I could see patients by myself. I didn't need anyone to translate. I put myself in a position to be able to learn the language so that I wouldn't need anything. And people trusted me. I wasn't alone, the foreigner, and there was a clear gap distinction between us. This one learns, this one doesn't. And it be like that sometimes. Your dedication and your drive will push you to limits that even you are surprised, because yani sasa hivi naongea Kiswahili lakini sijawahi ingia darasani, and I don't understand how I learned all this Swahili in my head, and I've never been in a class. It's the first language I learned without stepping into a class to learn it. You get my point. And so for me, that's obviously, it's a show of just God's grace and His faithfulness and just His goodness in my life. But also, I wouldn't have done that if I had not been willing to put myself in situations where I can learn, So it's possible, dear child. You can do it. If I can do it, so can you. You can even do it better than me. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, that you guys shouldn't be scared to step out your comfort zones. If you feel like you want to do your internship outside, as long as, it's in line with your future goals, do it. The one thing that I would say don't do is don't do your internship somewhere else only to find that you have to go and do internship again back home. Like, that is a waste. Rather just go home from the get-go and do it there, unless you really don't mind wasting a year or two for no reason. Because of the skills I had already learned, and also that confidence I had, I was confident enough to see patients by myself, do procedures, try new procedures that I haven't done. I was doing C-sections alone now. I was putting chest tubes, central lines, you know, all those big things that people are normally afraid of, I was doing. You know, in the emergency department, you have to do like a lot of point of care ultrasounds, POCUS, we call it. And I was doing all of that. I also like learned a lot from my seniors because I had good relationships with all of them. I don't think there's any senior person in that hospital that can stand up and say, I didn't like Natalie because she did A and B and C to me. Maybe they just don't like me as a person, I don't know. But I had really good relationships with everyone, and everyone was always willing to teach me, and I was always willing to learn from everyone. I especially aligned myself with like the big bosses and people that had a lot of shule, so I could learn from them, and that was great because it opened up even more doors for me, and I was able to get like really good references and stuff. And yeah, I feel like all those experiences in Botswana and Tanzania led to eventually where I am today with a really good job, and I'm so thankful for that. And yeah, God has been great, and He can be great in your life as well if you let Him. And so that's basically a summary of my internship. In terms of accommodation in Botswana, I initially lived near the hospital, and then I got robbed in Francistown, guys. I was staying in area A, and then the robbers came. There's a time I had gone home. When I went home to get the car is when they broke into the house. So I moved, and I was staying in Mulapo, and it was close enough because I also had a car at that point to drive to work. But in Tanzania, I didn't have my car, and I still don't have my car here yet. I was living close enough for me to be able to just like take a piki to work. That's like a motorcycle to work, or take a bajaji, like those tricycle, those three-wheeled scooters. What are they called in English? I have no idea. So that's what I used to take to work every day. It was close enough. I didn't need to take the bus or anything. If I wanted to walk, I really could, but I didn't. And yeah, in Tanzania also I didn't get paid, but for me it was worth it. Although in Tanzania they do pay you for your calls, so you're getting like 20,000 shillings, which is like $10, I think, somewhere there, per shift. Although towards the end of my internship I sold all my calls because I was like, I'm okay, I don't need to do these calls anymore. Yeah, but I had a really good internship experience, and I'm so glad that I took my internship seriously when I needed to, and now I'm okay with the work that I'm doing, and I have no struggles. Obviously it's something that's very super specialized, so I have a lot to learn on the job as well, but it's great, and I have no regrets whatsoever when it comes to my internship. So even you guys, set yourselves up to get to a point where you do your internship somewhere where you're going to be happy, and with the knowledge that you get, you're not going to be totally mentally drained, but you know, it's going to be a good experience for you. And so that was my internship experience. Take from it what you will. Get the motivation and whatever you need to get from it. Otherwise, in the next video, which will be the last video of the series, we're going to be talking about mental health in your internship, during your internship, and how to just like get through it and stay sane, you know. So I really hope you guys will stay tuned for that. Otherwise, if you've missed any of the last videos, please do get to watch them. They're going to be linked in the description box as well as at the end of the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you guys in my next video.